Hi, William Tramp, also known as This Effin GM here, ready to talk to you about the 2014 Monster Manual. Actually, we're also going to be talking about the 2024 Monster Manual. Now, there are a lot of videos out there by now discussing in broad strokes the changes that have come to the 2024 Monster Manual for the new or not new Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. I'm not here to jump into that whole debate. There have been many changes that have come through, changes such as stat block adjustments of having more damage or more or less damage, I guess in certain cases. Changes like creatures being made more survivable. The fact that damage reduction against magic weapons specifically is now gone and has been replaced across the board. How legendary actions have been updated. Layer actions are now just gone. Heck, a lot of people have been talking about the fact that the orcs don't even appear in this book. No orcs! What do we do? I'm not here to get into that. What I'm here to do today is to start a brand new series that I will be performing, or unleashing, I guess, unleashing, I don't know, on my channel that I like to call This Effin Monster. And This Effin Monster, I'm going to be coming to you with a breakdown of specific stat blocks that have appeared in both the 2014 version and the 2024 version, and I'm going to be taking a look at the differences that I see and how I plan to use the newer stat block in my games. So, today, we're going to start off this series of This Effin Monster by discussing This Effin Monster, the Aarakocra. The 2014 Aarakocra stat block has now been replaced with two new stat blocks in 2024, and the new Aarakocra Skirmisher is intended as the stand-in for the former. And it comes with a few changes. First off, the Aarakocra sheds its humanoid typing and adopts the elemental type. Now this is a lot more in line with the lore that's presented by the books, that the Aarakocra are denizens of the elemental plane of air that have set up homes on other planes for one reason or another. Now this of course makes the Aarakocra immune to a few spells that target only humanoids, like Charm Person or Hold Person, but overall I don't think that's going to be much of a problem. But as with any rule change, I'm sure someone will let me know their displeasure in the comments. Compared to the 2014 version, the Aarakocra Skirmisher comes equipped with a couple of less hit points and a reduced hit dice, though it now boasts a higher constitution, leading to better constitution saving throws and more hit points per hit dice. Though it's not a major change, the languages have been updated. See, the Aaran language is now considered a primordial dialect, which affects the Aarakocra's language. Now, neither of the languages that the Aarakocra knows are the common tongue, making these creatures still difficult to parlay with. Now, in terms of traits, the Aarakocra's dive attack has been removed, but its effects have been incorporated into its talons attack, meaning it can no longer be used with just any weapon. Now, action-wise, the Aarakocra Skirmisher maintains the simplicity of the 2014 version with only two main attack options, the Talons and the Javelins. The damage of the Talons stays the same, but if the Aarakocra moves 30 feet or more, or dives before they make the attack, they add 2d4 damage to it, which is an increase compared to the previous edition's dive attack trait, which only added a d6. Now, of particular note is that the Javelin attack has been replaced with a more powerful and flavorful Wind Javelin attack. This acts as a javelin that does an additional d4 of thunder damage and has the fantastic quality of returning to the Aarakocra after being thrown. Now, this would be an amazing and thematic treasure item for any player characters who find themselves squaring off against one, or maybe as a gift from Aarakocra allies that player characters make in their adventures. But changes to equipment and how they work in the 2024 rules makes that somewhat of an impossibility. According to the new rules, any equipment not specifically listed in a gear section of the stat block is considered to be unusable by others, which I find overall disappointing. Now that's the Aarakocra Skirmisher. It's a simple CR 1/4 stat block for DMs who are seeking to add a bit of three-dimensional combat for their low-level encounters. But in addition to the Aarakocra Skirmisher, we also get the Aarakocra Aeromancer. The Aarakocra Aeromancer is a druidic spellcaster version of the Aarakocra. The Aeromancer is a CR4 monster that comes equipped with spells and also a prodigious perception skill. Now, combat-wise, the Aeromancer will likely be making great usage of its spells, primarily its once-per-day lightning bolt and its at-will gust of wind, the latter of which can be used in concert with its multi-attack, in addition to its two wind staff attacks. Now, the wind staff is an interesting attack that allows the Aeromancer the ability to attack in both melee and at a range of up to 120 feet, dealing both bludgeoning and lightning damage to their targets. Now, though the art shows the gem-studded staff held aloft by an Aarakocra Aeromancer, I personally am getting big fan vibes, like Aang's weapon from Avatar: The Last Airbender, right? Now, in addition, the Aeromancer can also use Featherfall once per day as a reaction, which is incredibly useful when enterprising player characters knock it prone while it's airborne. Now, I love that stat blocks in 2024 are leaning into providing multiple examples of monsters, with many of the former warrior-only stats being supplemented with a spellcasting variant, and we're going to see this quite a bit in this series. Now, for some, like me, stat blocks are great to look at, but they are even more important to implement at the table. So how would I use these two in combat? First, let's talk about the Aarakocra Skirmisher. Now, though the term Skirmisher often invokes the idea of a melee warrior who runs in and out of range, the Aarakocra Skirmisher has no real ability to avoid hits, nor the armor class or hit points to justify provoking many of them. The Aarakocra Skirmisher's most damaging attack is its Diving Talons attack, dealing an average of 9 damage. But once this is used, the Aarakocra has basically committed itself to melee engagement, and it won't last a terribly long time in that situation. As a result, I believe the Skirmisher is best used in areas with a lot of vertical space, like outdoors at a range of about 55 feet, using its fly speed to move into 30-foot range of its targets to maximize the wind javelin's effectiveness, and then wheeling back to the 55-foot range. If a Skirmisher feels that there's a good chance it can finish off its foes with a dive attack, or if one of its allies can find a way to negate attacks of opportunities, then it would be more likely to use its talons in a more traditionally Skirmisher fashion. Now, the Aarakocra Skirmisher is wise enough to remove itself from combat when it gets to 5 hit points or less, disengaging and using its high fly speed if it must to put as much distance between its attacker and itself. The Aeromancer, though, comes with a lot more possibilities. Now, despite its spellcasting abilities, I still think the Aeromancer will follow a simple, straightforward tactic. Its Lightning Bolt is its most damaging attack, with an average damage of about 28 lightning per target, which would immediately be used whenever it could reasonably hit 2 or more targets. Now, otherwise, the Aeromancer will continue to hammer foes at an aerial distance with its Wind Staff attack, opting to use its Gust of Wind to try to drive back its closest foes. Now, luckily, with its decent armor class and hit points, the Aeromancer has some staying power, but it would likely opt to abandon the fight and engage another day once it's reduced to about 26 hit points or lower. Okay, now what would I change about these? One item I noticed missing from the Aarakocra Skirmisher entry in 2024 was the 2014 ability to summon air elementals if 5 Aarakocra were working in concert. Now, I doubt this was used often in minigames, and it was absolutely ignored by DMs who had, entire 5-person or more parties of Aarakocra, but I do think it was a fun ability, and I wish we had seen some sort of echo of this in the Aeromancer in the form of a summon elemental ability. I also wish that they had included the Wind Javelin in the gear, because I feel like this item in particular would make a fun item for players to be able to have access to. I'm thinking an uncommon magical javelin requiring attunement that returns to the user after the attack is made and deals an extra d4 of thunder damage on a hit. Alright, either way, that's the 2024 Aarakocra. I want to thank you for joining me on this, the first video comparing older stat blocks and the new, in this series that I call This Effin Monster. Next time, I plan on diving into the Aboleth, an Eldritch horror with a long history in the game, and a polished new stat block explicitly designed to capitalize on the total mind screw that these aberrations represent. Again, thank you for being here. Please hit that like and subscribe button. I'm trying to hit 5,000 subscribers by the end of the 2025 year, and I could really use your help with that. Otherwise, thanks for coming either way, and I look forward to seeing you next time on This Effin Monster.